Hello and welcome to the new video. Today we're going to take a look at a legend team here from my brother Swilus, which is going to be with the Arcitibax, one of his favorite Pokemon, also now one of my favorite Pokemon. And we're going to encounter in the beginning already one of the worst possible leads. We're going to run the Shadow Marowak in the lead. Of course, it's currently not available for Catch Cup users, but if you want to try this team out as well and you have like the other two Pokemon on your team, you can also use Skeledirge, for example, in the lead, having the exact same typing. Should work out basically in a similar way. But could be also a little bit trickier against Clodsire, but still, like Clodsire was still around, I think, when I played those battles, but yeah, it was still not as common, so I don't know, like Clodsire is definitely way more common in the Catch Cup, which makes it a little bit more awkward, but actually the Arcitibax is really good against Clodsire as well, which is kind of nice, and this is honestly one of my favorite Pokemon to play. If you have not built an Arcitibax yet, feel free to do so, because it's really strong. And here we're gonna have now a combination of the Arcitibax plus the Charjabug Community Day Pokemon. Very cheap, very easy to get. A lot of people have this Pokemon as well. And as you're going to see here right now, we're going to battle against someone that also won a regional before, which you can see based on the t-shirt there. And we can just go for another charge move here. The opponent decides to, for whatever reason, shield this move up, which is really nice for me. And so I can still have like a chance here on winning this game. I can still survive at least an Ice Punch. Luckily, they didn't went for the other move. And I can still go for the Avalanche now in order to knock out the opponent's Gligar. And Arcitibax is literally the MVP of the first battle, as we will be able to still reach the Dragon Claw and win this game. Let's move on into the next game. We're going to encounter the Deoxys defense in the lead. This is going to be amazing for you, for me in general, as we're going to encounter now a matchup that we're going to be able to easily win. Of course, Deoxys defense is not currently available in the Catch Cup either, but you will be able to encounter something like a Medicham quite often. I feel like that was one of the spawns, and they have pretty much the same matchups. And we're going to now encounter the Ninetales coming in. Shadow Ninetales is some little bit trickier Pokemon for, of course, my Pokemon in the back there, but this is kind of how you want to play this anyway, because Arcitibax does not want to face this Pokemon, and you can bait them out because they definitely don't want to face your lead. So you're going to be able to just use maybe a shield here. I'm actually going to let this move go through, just going to go 2 shields Arcitibax, which in hindsight I would regret at this point, because I feel like the likelihood of them having double charm is kind of high, but we have to see. They're going to have a Lickitung in the back, so I guess it was the right call to do this, as we can now see the power of Arcitibax. Arcitibax is actually really good against Lickitung. You win in certain, depending on like what kind of a respread you have, you're going to win in the 2 shield scenario and 1 shield scenario, as well as in the 0 shield scenario, depending on the respread. So it's going to be a very decent matchup for you in general, just because Avalanche is like the main selling point of this Pokemon. Avalanche does so much damage. You're going to see it here as well. Avalanche against the Lickitung does nearly do 50% here, even though it's just a neutral move. And we can see also the body slam is not going to get us low enough, and we can just snipe the opponent here basically with our Alolan Marowak, as we can knock them out. Let's move on to the next one. We're going to encounter another Lickitung in the lead here. This is going to be a little bit of an annoying one, as we can swap out into our Charjabug. Charjabug is going to be able to just go ahead and take this move. You can actually win this matchup as a Charjabug, I think in the 1 and 2 shield scenario, definitely in the 2 shield scenario against the Lickitung, because you're going to outspeed them after a while, as well as your Exeter is doing some decent damage now after the buff this season, as well as we can just do a lot of damage against those Pokemon in general. We're going to get out the Medicham, which is kind of nice. If you didn't know, this Discharge as well as the Exeter do exactly the same amount of damage, but you need 5 less energy for the Exeter, so if both of them are neutral, always go for Exeter. It's going to allow you to even get to some moves a little bit earlier. Here we're going to be able to get a shield advantage, which is kind of nice, but I'm going to give up this shield advantage immediately afterwards, because I know that they're going to be able to reach a Psychic, and of course you don't have a video of mine where I don't get like a super unlikely debuff, but I don't think it really matters here in this point, as you're going to get out the opponent's Shadow Charizard in the back. We will be able to still reach a Dragon Claw, but it's going to be a little bit of a tough one, because they should be able to outspeed me after a while. So I decided to let the first move go through. It's not really looking too pretty for us. I still try my best here, but at this point of time, I think I can just basically forfeit, because like, what am I supposed to do here? Like, this was kind of hardware all over the place. As we can now see the matchup against Lickitung, I can still at least go for some damage with my Bone Club, but honestly, there's no way of me winning this game here, right? Or maybe this, who knows? We're going to be able to go for another Bone Club here. We were able to take this Power Whip, and as you can see, we're gonna get the opponent fairly low. Low enough for another Bone Club, but also low enough for another Fire Spin. So, let's move on to the next matchup. A very bad lead for us again with the Greedent. Now having access to Mudshot makes this Pokemon a little bit more annoying even. They're gonna go for the Crunch. Most likely should have swapped out a little bit earlier, but I kinda wanted to keep some energy first. And so now we're gonna swap out into the Charjabug as the opponent decides to swap out into their Gligar. So far, so bad. So hard counter, to be fair. Like, we're gonna be completely hard countered so far, as the opponent is going to have to take now the extra from our charger bug. But again, it's not really looking too great for us. They can go for a charge move. It's going to be the aerial ace, and we will be able to still reach another extra. No, we do not reach another extra. And so I'm kind of forced. Oh no, actually, it's still gonna get there. They're only going to be able to go for the aerial ace, which is barely not going to knock us out. So I'm kind of forced to go into my Marowak, I thought, here at this point. But yeah, I do exactly this. I can go for the Shadow Bone, which is gonna be able to get the knockout, and I can swap out here, which is going to be the most important one, because they're going to have also in the back a Lanturn, and Lanturn is going to be very decent for me. And I should have most likely shielded up the Body Slam, because Lanturn is only doing resisted damage, and I have no idea what I'm doing here right now. But it's still going to be a little bit of a closer one, but we still might have a chance here of winning this game. So let's see if this is still going to work out for us. It's still going to be close, because Lanturn is still going to do some decent damage, and the opponent is outspeeding us here quite a bit with their, little squirrel here with a Greedent. I kind of will be forced here to try to swap onto a Body Slam, I think, into my Marowak. Did not work out. So at this point of time, this is going to be sadly a lost game, but again, we kind of got completely walled. Like, literally, Marowak had like nowhere to go to. So it's a little bit of an awkward one, but let's take a look now at the next game after they can knock me out with a Surf. There's not a lot that I can do here anymore. Was still a close one, could have went maybe a little bit different if I caught a move. Next game, we're going to encounter an Altaria in the lead, a Pokemon that you barely really see anymore, and I kind of want to try it out again, because I feel like it looks better on paper than it, like, people say it is. But we can still go for a charge move here against the opponent's Registeel. This is going to be actually a fairly decent matchup for you, because Registeel is not going to enjoy too much the damage of the Charger Bug, as well as you can resist all the moves of the opponent. I think every single move other than Hyper Beam, and nobody's running Hyper Beam. But of course, again, my opponent gets the immediate attack drop, which is kind of awkward for us, because I think they can now survive this one and still get to another move. But they decide to shield anyway, so that's fine for me. I can let this move go through as well. Go into my good friend, the Marowak, go for the full farm down, and they have then basically a Shadow Bone stored for the opponent's Altaria, and that's exactly what I kind of want to have here. I kind of want to get them lower so I can farm them down later on with my Arcitibax without having like any issues with this. So I decided to use a shield here, and we're gonna get the opponent fairly low. The opponent gonna swap out into an Azumarill, and you might think this game is over at this point, but you should never give up too early. I actually don't know how this game is gonna go, by the way. I have literally zero clue anymore. I think this game was like 2 weeks ago. So, yeah, we will find out if there's still a way for us to win. I don't think there is, but who knows? Maybe there is. We will find out together here. We're going to be able to go for another Avalanche. Of course, all our moves are going to be resisted. I try to swap out, but of course the opponent gonna get to their move in time. It's going to be the play rough, and we're gonna get knocked out. And honestly, what is supposed to happen here that we can still win this game? I have no idea. I'm gonna go for the Bone Club here, which is going to be able to get, hopefully, the knockout. It does get the knockout. And now it's going to be still the Altaria in the back. I can still go for another Bone Club. And this might get the shield. Let's see. It does. And can we still reach the move? We can still reach the Shadow Bone. And we literally just won an impossible matchup, and we can move on into the next game. Let's see what they're going to run here. We're going to encounter the Sableye in the lead. Sableye is going to be a little bit of an awkward Pokemon, but we can try to go for some Exeter as well against them eventually, as they're going to go for the foul play. Can still reach the next Exeter. That's going to do some massive damage. You can actually, I think, also win this match up sometimes, but I think it's only, I don't know, I think like one shield scenario might be able to win or something, but here we're going to see that we can, or maybe two shields, because you see already, I can just shield this move up and farm them all the way down. So we can see here that we can just easily knock them out with that one. We see the Medicham coming in, which is even better for us, because now we don't align our Dragon and Ice-type Pokemon against the Medicham, as well as we can get a ton of damage against them, which is even better for us. So like, Charger Bug is really doing a great job here. We're going to be able to just let those moves go through, and I can swap out into my Marowak as they decide to go into their Lanturn, getting walled by the Arctibax, but this is the thing as well, they still have a shield advantage, which can be a little bit tricky, because as you can see here, they're still going to do some decent damage, even though it's resisted, but it's only single resisted, and our Arctibax is not the bulkiest Pokemon. So as you're going to see, we can still go for a charge move, gonna get the damage onto them, but it's not gonna knock them out, and I think a Thunderbolt might be just enough to knock us out. So it's going to be a trickier one here, as I could go, of course, exactly for the Thunderbolt. It doesn't knock us out quite yet, but we have to hope that we can farm down, but they can still reach a Surf. It's going to be such a close metal still. Surf is coming through. The Medicham can still go for a charge move. If this is a Psychic, then we're going to be done here. But no, it's going to be just the Ice Punch, and we can still go for our Bone Club, which is gonna get the knockout here. Can we still farm them down? We can still farm them down and win this game. Let's move on to the next game. We're going to encounter another Sableye in the lead, which is not ideal for us, but we can still at least try to go for maybe a shield here again. It might be a similar scenario again here for us, as he can go for the Exeter. The opponent going to catch the move onto a Registeel. Great catch by the opponent. It's a Shadow Registeel. That's absolutely wild. Like, this is literally spice level, which is kind of crazy, as you can see. This is actually, I think Shadow Registeel would still be available for this catch cup as well if you caught it just like at the start of the season, so that would even make some sense. Yeah, you can actually use Shadow Registeel. You cannot use the normal one, but the Shadow one you should be able to use, which is kind of wild. We can still go for the extra, knock them out here, and I can still reach another charge move against the opponent's Tentacruel, and I went for the right one, which is nice here, because as you can see, I can just go for the discharge. I can swap out into my Marowak, which at least resists the fast move, as we can even reach another charge move here with them. The Bone Club should get shielded, and we will see most likely a Scald coming through, which I'm going to let go. I kind of have to hope that my good friend the Arcitibax is going to be able to win this game, and we both swap out at the exact same time, allowing us to go for most likely a full farm down, I would imagine, because I need to get to 2 charge moves against the opponent's Tentacruel, and I'm fairly certain I can still survive this foul play fairly easily, and we are basically there yet, and I can go now for 2 Dragon Claws, and this should hopefully be enough. And again, Arcitibax is just showcasing how strong this Pokemon actually is. Very cool Pokemon to play, and we will see the knockout here still. Let's take a look at the next game. We're going to encounter the Alolan Ninetales here, which is going to be an amazing lead matchup for us, especially as we can now avoid this matchup later on for our Arctibax. And we're going to see here already the opponent going to have the Umbreon in the back, but also we're going to have our Charger Bug, and they already decide to forfeit. Let's take a look at the next opponent. Horrific lead for us. Shadow Swampert is something that also, like, some people might have built already for the catch cup right now, because this Pokemon is available through... Or is it? I actually don't know if it's still available. Maybe not. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe they were available before they changed the grunts. I think it's currently not available, actually. But we will be able to just still go for 1 discharge here. The opponent going to use a shield, which is fine. I can go for an Exeter at least, which is going to be able to get some more damage onto them. But of course, they're going to have a ton of energy. And I kind of have to use some shields here, because a Shadow Wall would do a lot of damage. But I am ballsy, and I decide to no-shield this, which is kind of wild, as I can now use a shield afterwards onto a potential Shadow Ball, which is going to be a Shadow Ball, and so I'm gonna get out of this match up in a way better fashion, as I can still even go for the the Shadow Bone here against the opponent's Swampert. Gonna get them low. They can only go for the Hydro Cannon here, which I can let go. No reason for me to shield, and they're going to have the Charizard in the back, and I'm not gonna go for the Dragon Claw. I would have went for the Avalanche, of course. But it doesn't matter, as you can now move on into the next game. Dewgong in the lead. Dewgong, one of the biggest winners of the season. Drill Run Dewgong is very, very strong right now. But let's see here, the Bone Club, the Shadow Bone is coming through again, going to do a ton of damage, and they're going to go for the Drill Run immediately. So they didn't even bait, which is kind of sad for me, but I'm going to be okay here, as we will still get out our Charger Bug against the opponent's Sableye, and we have a little bit of an energy advantage, which is kind of nice, as I can even reach another Exeter before they even go for their first charge move. And so I will get the knockout even before they do anything, and I can still even reach another Exeter with my Charger Bug here. I should have not shielded this move. I would have still survived that one. I don't think this was a smart idea, but I guess I thought, okay, if I shield this one, I'm gonna outspeed to the next one anyway, and I get guaranteed damage onto the opponent, which I guess is a fair one here, because they always need like one less fast move basically for the second Exeter, which is kind of nice. So like you always need like 3 for the first one, 2 for the second one, and we will see here that I can go into my Arctibax, and I'm just going to have a great time here. Arctibax should be able to farm them all the way down. There should not be any issues at all, as we're gonna see now the Dewgong coming back in, and this is game. Like, this is going to not knock them out, but we can farm them down, and like, what do they want to do? They want to die, and that's going to be it for this one. So let's move on into the final battle of today's video. Another horrific lead. Dragonite, something that you're mostly going to see also quite often now, as Cliff going to have the Shadow variant available. And we will see here the Dragon Claw coming through as well, and they're going to swap out into their Lickitung. This is actually okay for me, because I will be able to get them low. And also, I will be able to reach basically some charge moves later on with my Alolan Marowak. And Marowak is not really caring too much about their energy, so they even go for some energy here. But I can just swap out into my Marowak, and I will be able to get a ton of energy here. There's no reason for me to really throw any charge moves, because if they throw, like, it's going to be resisted, it's going to be fine. But as you can see here, we can just go for the full farm down, and this is going to be amazing, as we're gonna get a ton of energy, which is gonna help us out quite a bit with the most likely incoming. Never mind, it's going to be the Azure Azumarill, the core breaker for this team again. Let's see if we can still deal with this Pokemon. We're gonna get some damage onto them, but it's looking a little bit tough because we still have 2 shields left, but like, where are we going to use those 2 shields? The opponent stays in for a little bit, which is fine. Here I'm going to use definitely a shield. But it's going to still be a tough one as the opponent gonna swap out into their Dragonite. I can go for a Dragon Claw and try to force a shield from the opponent. Let's see how this is going to work out. We're gonna get the shield. They're gonna most likely throw their own move, which they do, but I can still use a shield myself, and it's going to still be such a close battle for the end. We can go for the full farm down, but they're gonna swap back into the Azumarill. I'm forced to go for the Dragon Claw bait, and I'm forced to try to catch a move here. Can we still get a last second catch onto a charge move? We cannot. They still had a shield left, so it didn't really matter if I went for the Dragon Claw or not. I had to catch the move, but like, this is going to be it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to leave a like, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.